Hey everybody, it's Christine Parakis, and we are here on the Career Invincibility Show, and I am so excited to bring somebody I consider a personal friend and one of my regular hiking buddies on the show today, but who's somebody who really has stood out from the beginning when we first met. Bruce Cardenas is the Chief Communications Officer at Quest Nutrition, and it's his mission to share Quest's products, message, and lifestyle with as many people as he can. In 5 years, Quest expanded to almost 90 countries and is the #1 selling protein bar of its kind in thousands and thousands of GNCs, vitamin shops, Walmarts, 7-Elevens, and grocery stores across the U.S. and outside. And the company, when Bruce joined it, was at $3 million in sales. 9 years later, was acquired for a $9 billion cash deal. It's monumental, and Bruce was instrumental in the rapid growth and expansion of the brand globally. He's a natural entrepreneur and loves community and building relationships and is truly instrumental in the successes of the Quest family. But Bruce comes from New Jersey and has been a Marine and several classified assignments and excelled in powerlifting and in global protection after being a member of the LAPD and still serves as a reserve deputy. So without further ado, Bruce, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you very much. That was quite an introduction. I need to save that for my resume. It was great.
Listen to it, download the recording, right? It's all true. Yeah. That's all I can say,
I'm
right?
Honored. Yeah. I'm honored. I'm glad we got to know each other, obviously, from metal hikes, and I admire what you do as well. And, yeah, I'm honored to be here.
Well, it's so fun because, you know, we see each other out on the Sundays, and we love, you know, those times outdoors, but at least pre-pandemic we sure did, and a little bit between lockdowns. But one of the things we don't dwell on so much is our history, right? And you've had such an incredible background and done so many things and been a part of so much success. And one of the things that I love to talk about on this show for people who are listening across the globe is to understand it's rarely a straight line, right? Zigs and zags and roadblocks and speed bumps, they all happen in the life. And I would love it if you would share some of that journey for you to get to the vast success that you've achieved today.
Yeah, it's interesting you say, there's never a straight line. I mean, I think people sometimes get on television shows or write books and it sounds like it was seamless, but there's a lot of struggles along the way. I mean, with many of the businesses I've done, and including Quest, we had a lot of challenges. Matter of fact, people almost guaranteed to our face, they promised us we would fail within a year, that it was a dumb move, there were too many protein bars, that the market was saturated. And we had some obstacles. We had manufacturing challenges. We initially were just going to be a marketing company. We were going to have someone else manufacture it, and we were just going to market and sell it. And then we found out that it wasn't as easy to manufacture, and we had to come up with our own system to manufacture it. So we definitely had a lot of challenges and a lot of failures, a lot of formulation challenges where we didn't have such great success the first year. So.
Well, you have to get through that, right? But how many times I remember when I wanted to go to law school and people said, oh, there's too many lawyers, you know, and a friend of mine said recently, actually on our show, nobody who criticizes you don't get criticized by people who've done better than you. You know, it's people that don't want you to be successful.
Exactly. And believe me, there are a lot of those that really don't wish for people's success. It's interesting, the human dynamic, that while people, I believe, say it, oh, yeah, we wish you luck, secretly a lot of people don't want to see others succeed, which is something I've really tried to understand as I've continued to grow in business. But, back to that, we definitely had a lot of failures. And even with, 5 and 6 years old, we had setbacks with formulation changes, with the industry changing. So it's always evolving.
What about in the personal life? Because you've had such an incredible background and career, multiple careers really. And what do you think was the thing that helped you to propel yourself to this point of being part of a billion-dollar company?
As far as my personal self?
Yeah, the things that you may have come across as setbacks, or the pivots you've made, and the things that have moved you from one thing to another.
I think I've been fortunate, and maybe I really say it's the work ethic that my father and mother both instilled in me. So I never really looked at failure as an option. You just continue to work hard, work smart, and sometimes work long. One thing I've always said, and I know it's not kind of a meme that goes around, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I've never been the smartest person in the room for sure, but I definitely have. I would consider myself one of the hardest workers, and sometimes you just outlast people. And like I said, failure's not an option. We've had setbacks in business, both in my security business, and you learn from those, and you just have to regroup. The problem is, I think a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of business people, and you're seeing now with this pandemic, people are just folding and collapsing. They're closing their business, they're not fighting back or whatever. And same thing in the industry of sports nutrition or any other business. You have a couple setbacks, and people, they just close the doors. And but there's always a way to regroup and succeed. And whether that's borrowing money, regrouping your business plan, pivoting, and a lot of people, even during this pandemic, have pivoted in businesses like apparel business, and they switched to making PPE. Those are the people that, rise to the occasion, but it's not easy. But like you said, if you have the right work ethic and can outlast the others, you're gonna rise to the top.
Well, and part of it, would you say, is attitude? I mean, I would never think that there was any time in your life where you've experienced a setback, because your attitude is so consistently forward, success-minded.
No, attitude is everything, for sure. Like, you have to have a positive attitude. I mean, yeah, I've had setbacks for sure. Financial, a couple of hardships, both personally and in business. And I even in the darkest days, when I was living with a friend, like basically living in his guest room, and I already had some success, so that tells you where I was. I've had a couple of failures. I was living with someone. I still was like, man, life is great. Like, hey, I'm able to eat 3 meals a day. I'm able to work out. I'm able to still work in my business while I may not be making a lot of money right now. It'll all eventually come back. I think the problem is people, their mindset, they collapse. And they can't recover emotionally, and then people, become a little more robotic and accept that I failed, so let me just go back to punching a clock or whatever, And not that that's a bad thing, by the way, punching a clock or being an employee. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur, there's going to be some pain points, and a lot of it's not designed for everybody.
Well, you have to be willing to be out there on a tightrope. Right. And those times, like you've said, and who hasn't, right? Anybody who's out there building businesses is going to experience some successes. And Brian Tracy says, if you want to succeed, fail faster. Right. So,
Right.
Who hasn't had, there isn't anybody out there who's been huge successes that doesn't have a living out of the car type story. Right. And
I think they all do. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in good company.
Level of what's that?
I said we're all in good company, right?
Right. Yeah, I feel good. Listen, every time I meet a successful business person, from the Jeff Bezos of the world, who was selling used books online, and people literally said that's the dumbest idea in the world. Every time I meet a successful business person, there's a story behind them that they struggled, or they worked out of a garage, or they worked out of their basement, or their mom's kitchen, even making food items, but they never gave up. So that's really
right. Or worse, people said it was the dumbest idea, or that you shouldn't do it, or the market's too saturated, right?
Yeah, and when we launched Quest, everybody said the market is completely saturated. You're never going to succeed. Now, fast forward 11 years later, I'm involved with a couple of companies that we're launching, and some of them are protein bars in new companies, and people are telling me the same thing. Crazy, man. It's not going to work. There's too many drinks out there. There's too many snacks. I think that conversation has been going on for 30 years, maybe longer. And people continue to thrive, and some businesses succeed, and others grow, and it's just the nature of, where we are.
Well, so other than not listening to these people, what are some of the things that maybe you have in terms of daily practices, in terms of self-talk? What are some of the things that we could share with our listeners today that are tools or go-tos for you that keep you moving in both those times and in the times of expansion?
Um, I mean, I'm going to go back to this. Attitude is really my biggest success, and I always think of the positive out of any outcome. I think that's my self-talk is, I don't know, failure is not really an option. I mean, if I, for what, I have kids to help even though they're grown. I have people that count on me, a mother that, there's just people that count on you. So I sometimes look at that, so that makes you even more accountable, right? There's other people that count on you in your life. And that's been part of my mindset. I don't know if there's any real key takeaways, except I could attribute work ethic and positive attitude. I always have the positive attitude conversations with me. Sometimes, throughout the day, even when things are not going so well. I think that's part of the problem with people. They're quick to accept failure. And they don't do enough self-talk, enough motivation. And that's one of the things, even, talking about metal when we go on those hikes, I kind of like being around other people that are inspired to do greatness. I like to be pushed by other people. And it's kind of cool when you see other people, maybe not even the same space, but they're running hard too. And you're like, okay, wow, there's other people trying to do what I'm doing. It makes me even more motivated. And I do say this to people: you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And if you're around dumb people, if you're around poor people, I like to gravitate towards people that are overachievers and want to do more in life. Whether it's charity work or giving back or they're just entrepreneurs, I like to surround myself with people that are like-minded. They don't have to have my goals, but they're like-minded. They have good energy. They're positive. People but even that we spend time with that that make you feel you're bringing value to the world, and doing the right thing.
Well, and one of the things that I'm going to reflect back to you that I think is really, integral to who you are, because you exude it every time I see you, is there's this warmth about you, but a genuine interest in other people and in building real relationships. It's not transactional with you. And I would say maybe that's one of the things, too, that's about you that's very special.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. That is true, and people do tell me that. Even when I was building Quest, it wasn't transactional. Yeah, I mean, it's great because I was able to give people a healthy treat, whether it's a bar or a cookie, but I had no expectations. I always practice this everywhere. I always give with no expectation of anything. I think the problem is a lot of people give expecting something, and that's one of the things. It makes me feel good, and I enjoy it, but and it's genuine. Yeah, I really just like to put a smile on people's faces, whether it's buying coffee for someone behind me in line at Starbucks or giving them a protein bar. On the hikes, I'm always giving product out, but it's just really more because I like to see people happy, and that's one way to do it. I mean, I'm glad I'm not selling canned corn, and it's healthy protein treat. So
it would be harder to open on a hike.
Yeah. So that's what I do like genuine relationships. Mine are not, maybe like you said, it's not really business for me. It's like I'd rather have a longer term relationship with someone. And if you never do business with me, great. We could still be friends. Maybe we'll do business down the road. Maybe we won't. And either way, it's fine with me. I think a lot of people in this world, they meet people and it's right away. What can we do? How can we make money? How can we monetize this? And that's fine. I mean, that money makes the world go round. It's a necessary evil, but that's not the end all. I'm more, I think when you have good relationships, good things are going to happen either way. And something that does involve money.
To you, because you're well-traveled, you've worked in other parts of the world and country, and I hear that, I think about Los Angeles being one of those highly transactional regions, where I've been based for a while. And do you think it's similar in other parts? Is it a regional thing? Is it geographic, where people are more open to developing